Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Lolix. Today, we will be improving our vocabulary by learning the difference between ought to, need to, and have to. Ought to is used when giving advice or expressing a conclusion. The verb ought to does not have a past form. It is only used with reference to the present and the future. Ought to is rarely used in questions or negative sentences. Ought to is used as follows. The first is to express an obligation or an expectation that someone should do something. You ought to listen carefully. We ought to leave now. Lucy ought to go by herself. People ought to be a bit nicer to us. The second way to use ought to is to express the likelihood of something happening. For example, Annabelle ought to be here by now. The journey ought to take about 2 hours. The third way we use ought to is when we use it with have and the past participle of the main verb to express regret that something was not done or to reproach someone for doing or not doing something. For example, I ought to have spoken up earlier. I'm sorry. You ought to have offered to help. They ought to have told us what to expect. Need to. Need to is used to express that something is important to do. This form is often used for something that is important one time. Unlike ought to, need to has only one meaning, that is, the necessity for the purpose. For example, you need to exercise more often. You're putting on weight. You need to wear a tie to the party. Have to. We use have to in the past, present, and future to express responsibility or necessity. The subject of have to is forced to act by a separate external power. For example, the law or other rules. For example, children have to go to school. He has to stay awake tonight for work. We have to get up early. That is the end of today's lesson. If you have any questions or doubts, please leave a comment. If you found my video to be helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more English grammar lessons, IELTS exam help, and OET exam help. Thank you.